that is beneficial for the environment. And that kind of falls across a lot of different directorates with manufacturing, skills, environment, trade. So that's happening more and more where there's sort of a cross, what they call a horizontal project. What do they do? Data collection and analysis. Produce a lot of publications. Used to print a lot of books, not so much books anymore, more electronic. Trying to get more and more information available electronically and free of charge. And facilitate knowledge exchanges, basically meetings with other experts and discussions, sometimes at a very technical level. Publications, books, a lot of these are available electronically, so not so much paper to be shipping around the world. The internet is starting to get really big into social media. Backbook, all these sorts of things. Sorry, I'll go back. So Factbook, these sorts of things. Social media, as you know, is part of the internet. The internet's kind of the Wild West. Not sure what's the best way to go. How do you control the data? Do you protect yourself? Can people attack you? But it's still a very, very interesting place. Most people get their information. I don't know what it's like for your generation, but for my generation, we weren't really instant experts. We had to read books and do all that kind of stuff. These days, you can find out anything you want, almost instantaneously. Data.gov, this is a U.S. government effort trying to get all the data the U.S. government collects and make that available to everyone. So it's a work in progress. I think they're doing a pretty good job, but it's an awful lot of data that you have to make sure that you are careful, that you don't disseminate too much, but that you make enough available so that it's useful. Member countries, 34 countries, a lot of countries in Europe. North America, we have Canada, US, Mexico. In South America, we currently have Chile, but also work a lot with Brazil. It's not a member, but we would like it to be a member, perhaps. Also Colombia. In other parts of the world, we have South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Asia, but also, of course, talking about the big dogs of India and China, very large developing economies, but also Indonesia, Republic of South Africa. So there's lots of areas where we want to do outreach to have more people be part of the OECD, because I think if you bring them into sort of a well-regulated environment, that we again believe that's better for everyone. Members participate in meetings, reviews. There's lots of what they call peer review of other people, of other countries' efforts to follow what they call the acquis of the OECD, and that's sort of an agreement to do something in a certain way. For example, anti-bribery. There's a thing called the Anti-Bribery Convention. Very important for the United States because at one point we were the only country that made it illegal to pay a bribe to a foreign official. And what companies would tell the U.S. government is that it made it very difficult to do business overseas because everyone else could pay a bribe. So the U.S. government, one of the approaches that we used was to work with the OECD to develop what's known as the Anti-Bribery Convention. And we had it adopted by the OECD. And what it means is that all 34 members now have to adhere to the convention. There's certain things you have to do. There's laws, there's prosecution, there's many things that you have to do to adhere to the Anti-Bribery Convention. And then once a year, once every 2 years, you go through what's known as a review. And the other 33 countries examine your activities in the area of anti-bribery. How many prosecutions did you use? What kind of laws? What are the regulations? What are, review in many different areas. And this points up an interesting aspect of the OECD. We have these conventions which have maybe the legal effect of a treaty, but there is nowhere to go if someone doesn't uphold the treaty. So if a member is not doing maybe all of its obligations, you can't exactly sue them in court and have them and force them to adhere to it. So this is where peer review is very important. And I don't mean to, what I would like to say is that peer review is actually an extremely powerful tool to use, because what you're doing is if you're Slovenia and you're trying to defend your anti-bribery, you've got Germany and France and the United States and Canada all kind of asking you questions about it, and it's motivating for Slovenia, but also it happens in kind of a public forum, so everyone knows how Slovenia is doing with corruption, and maybe that's not such a good place for investment, or maybe that's not so good for their reputation. So peer review is actually quite powerful. So what we do, I don't know why this does this, but anyway, oh, I'm sorry. This is a table, we kind of all sit around the table. Italy, UK, Norway, United States, France, Turkey. Turkey has been a member for a while, a very important member. European Commission is also a member. They can participate because they are, for example, in charge of trade for all European countries. So if you're discussing trade, you discuss trade with the EU, you don't discuss it with France and Italy and Spain. So the EU is an important member of the OECD. Enhanced engagement, like I said before, kind of reaching out to the big dogs, China, India, Indonesia, Brazil, a lot of the emerging countries doing quite nicely, and we would like to do more with them. So anyway, everyone. The other thing here that's important is that the OECD is a consensus organization. So almost every agreement is agreed to with not exactly unanimity, but everyone has consensus. No one objects, and so that makes it important because any agreement that you're party of, you gave your permission for this to be passed. So you can never come back and argue